Today we are going to discuss a very important theory of plasma physics, which is actually Saha's theory of thermal ionization. Actually, the work of Professor M. N. Saha is based on the correlation between the state of matter and the corresponding appearance of a spectrum. You know, a spectrum is the characteristic feature of the material. It means the spectrum from a material depends on the molecular or atomic structure of the material, and in general spectra obtained from matters in solid and liquid states are continuous spectra. So if I am just writing here, the materials are in solid state, solids and liquids. In this condition, the spectrum obtained from it is continuous spectrum. Continuous spectra. If we talk about the gases, you know, the gases contain materials in the form of molecules and atoms. And if the molecular gas is heated, the molecules are excited to higher energy states, and when the molecules de-excite, we get band spectrum. So you can say that if there are two energy states, this is in fact a lower energy state, or you may say ground state, and this is its excited state, and our material is in the form of molecular gas. Say this is just a molecule in ground state. When it is heated, it will be excited to the higher energy state, and when this molecule which was in excited state de-excite, the amount of energy it releases in the form of electromagnetic radiation, and we get actually emission spectra. And this emission spectra is actually a band spectrum. So molecular, you can say molecular spectra is actually band spectra. And now when molecules are heated, it gets dissociated into atoms. Say our system consists of molecules, and when molecules are heated or molecular system are heated, these are associated into atoms. And after heating these atomic systems, the atoms collide with one another violently, and the electrons, particularly at least the valence electrons, are knocked off, and atoms get into ionized. So if we say that symbolically M is our atom, then when the atoms collide with one another, it gets ionized. M plus E minus. This M plus is actually ion, that is positive ion, and this is electron. Now the property of the new medium, that is the ionized state of matter, is different from the other three states of matters in many counts. The most significant among them being its totally different form of spectrum. Also, the spectrum of ions differs from that of neutral atoms. So, we should note that when the gases get ionized, the spectrum obtained from the ionized gas is different from the neutral gas. And actually, this was the study of Professor M. and Saha. Let us take, to clarify the concept, a concrete example. We take a simple example of sodium atoms. You know, the sodium atoms produces two closed spectral lines known as D1 and D2 lines in yellow region. When temperature is raised sufficiently high, almost about 25,000 Kelvin or 25,000 degrees Celsius, you can say, then we get two spectral lines from the sodium atom. And I am just showing here the spectrum of sodium atom. There are two spectral lines in this. This line is known as D1 line, and this line is known as D2 line. This is called sodium doublet, Na doublet. Sodium doublet actually consists of two spectral lines at a temperature almost equal to 25,000 Kelvin. Among these two spectral lines, the wavelength of D1 line is wavelength of D1 line. This is actually equal to 5896 angstrom, and wavelength of D2 line is 5890 angstrom. And intensity of D2 line is just double of the intensity of D1 line. This is a very remarkable fact, that intensity of D2 line equal to 2 times of the intensity of D1 line. But if the system is now heated, then the intensity of the two lines increases. In fact, this intensity of D1 and D2 line is temperature dependent, and when the system is heated, intensities of the two lines increase. And why it increases, you can think that as the temperature is increased, greater number of sodium atoms go to the excited state, that is, take part in light emission, and so the number of spectral lines increases, and hence you can say that its intensity increases. The high temperature produces ionization in sodium atom too, and when ionization takes place, then it is found that the intensity of D1 and D2 lines decrease, and beyond such a high temperature, a stage comes where D1 and D2 lines are completely absent. It shows actually the complete, or you may say 100% ionization of sodium atoms. So you must keep in mind that ionization related to a spectrum was not well understood before the arrival of Saha's theory of thermal ionization. A spectrum of a spectrum from solids, liquids, and gases were already known, but what type of a spectrum we will obtain when the gas is ionized, this was not known before the arrival of M.N. Saha's theory of thermal ionization. So it was Professor Saha who explained the process of ionization much below the attainment of ionization temperature. Actually, the absence of D1 and D2 lines in the spectrum means what? Actually, it means absence of neutral atoms and the conversion of sodium atoms completely into ions. So you must remember, this is a very remarkable fact, that the spectrum of D1 and D2 line, a spectrum of sodium differs when it is in gaseous state and when it is in ionized state. This is just an example, but this fact is valid for all states of matter in gaseous state. So what important thing I have dealt you, I am just writing it in short here, that intensity, one important thing is intensity of D1 and D2 line increases with increase in temperature. Increase in temperature. And the cause is what? Its cause is that more and more atoms get excited to the higher energy state, and so the number of spectral lines increases in the spectrum, and you say that the intensity increases. Now, if the temperature is raised to a very high value so that the atoms get ionized, in ionized state, intensity of D1 and D2 line decrease. Because now in our system actually there are ions, and the ions do not produce the D1 and D2 line. These spectral lines are produced by the atoms, not by the ions. So we find that, see here, I have just mentioned that in ionized state intensity of D1 and D2 line decrease, and if ionization is is 100%, then D1 and D2 line are not in the spectrum of sodium. these two lines become absent when the ionization is completed. So you can see that the spectrum of ionized material, which is actually called fourth state of matter, that is plasma, is completely different from from the system of neutral gases. And the study of M.N. Saha was related to the spectrum of ionized gases, that is the plasma medium. Although at that time he has not used the term plasma, just only ionized gas. But now we can see that those ionized gases are nothing but they are simply plasma. Of course, one gets a spectrum in the new situation, but that is quite different. The new spectrum shifts towards the ultraviolet region as the effective nuclear charge increases. So you can see that a spectrum of ionized gas is different from unionized gas. Unionized gas. Actually, this ionization takes place at a very high temperature, almost about 60,000 Kelvin, or you may say degree C, because this is too much large temperature, so there will be no difference, a meaningful difference when we express the temperature in either in Kelvin or in Celsius. So you may use the unit Celsius. In some text it is written 60,000 degrees C, and in some text it is 60,000 Kelvin. Just for clarification and for your knowledge, I just want to calculate the temperature at which excitation takes place. You must remember, always a gaseous atom suffers excitation before ionization. Excitation always precedes over the ionization. So whenever a gas will be ionized, certainly first of all that the atoms of the system will be excited, and after that increasing temperature it will get ionized. So for just I have mentioned that excitation takes place almost at a temperature of 25,000 Kelvin, and the ionization takes place just almost at a temperature of 60,000 Kelvin. So for clarification and for your clear concept, I just want to calculate these two temperatures, that is temperature of excitation and temperature of ionization. So now we will calculate temperature of excitation. Temperature of excitation. To calculate the temperature of excitation, that is the temperature of the gaseous system at which excitation will take place, the atoms in ground state will be raised to the higher energy state or excited state. I just want to calculate it. And for its calculation, let us take the example of again the sodium atom. We know the sodium spectrum consists of two important spectral lines which are known as D1 and D2 lines, and I have just mentioned the wavelength of D1 and D2 lines previously. So what will be the average wavelength of these two spectral lines. So you know the average wavelength of D1 and D2 lines. If we denote this wavelength by lambda, this will be simply lambda 1 plus lambda 2 over 2. Here lambda 1 means wavelength of D1 line and lambda 2 is wavelength of D2 line. And you know wavelength of D1 line is 5896 angstrom and that of D2 line is 5890 angstrom. And so this average wavelength will be simply 5893 angstrom. Now I would like to calculate the temperature at which the excitation takes place, taking this average value of wavelength of D1 and D2 line into account. We know when actually the atoms in ground state, Gs for ground state and Es for excited state. When the atoms in ground state are heated, it gains thermal energy and raised to the excited state. In this process, it gains energy and that energy is of the order of kT, where K is Boltzmann constant and T is the temperature. This much amount of energy is absorbed. Now, in the process of de-excitation, the atoms in the excited state gets de-excited to the ground state. This is just ground state and this is excited state. And in this process, the energy which was absorbed by the atom during excitation is released, but this energy is released in the form of electromagnetic radiation, or you may say in the form of photon quanta. And so this energy will be h nu, or you may say this is hc over lambda, where you know the symbols. H is Planck's constant, c is a speed of electromagnetic wave in free space, and lambda is the wavelength of the emitted radiation. So it is a very simple fact that in excitation process, if energy kT is absorbed, then in de-excitation process, when we get the D1, D2 line, that much energy appears but in the form of hc by lambda. So we may equate these two energy. So if we consider if T equal to temperature of excitation, when I say temperature of excitation, it means the temperature at which excitation takes place. If T temperature of excitation, then kT equal to energy absorbed in excitation process. And if lambda equal to wavelength of the emitted radiation, or you may say wavelength of the spectral line obtained, then we know this kT will be equal to hc over lambda. And you know that this K is Boltzmann constant. This is Boltzmann constant, which is actually a universal constant. And H is also a universal constant. This is known as Planck's constant. This is Planck's constant. And from here we can easily calculate the temperature T at which excitation has taken place. So what will be this T? This T will be simply Hc over lambda K. Now let us take the example of this sodium spectrum. In this case, lambda will be actually the average wavelength, which I have just found, that is 5893 angstrom. And except lambda, all other quantities Hc and K are universal constant. So let us substitute the values of these quantities in equation 1. And then we will get the temperature at which excitation takes place. So T will be what? Hc over lambda K. The value of H is 6.63 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. C is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Lambda, as I have calculated, this is 5893 angstrom. And if we express it in meter, we will multiply by the factor 10 to the power minus 10. And K is 1.38 10 to the power minus 23. And if you will simplify this, you will get it is almost equal to 25,000 Kelvin. So you can see what I have mentioned above earlier that excitation of atoms takes place almost at temperature of the order of 25,000 Kelvin. We have calculated it analytically. So excitation takes place at this very large temperature. Now I would like to calculate temperature at which ionization will take place. This is called temperature of ionization. We will again take the example of a sodium atom. In this case, the atom gets ionization energy, and due to that ionization energy it gets ionized. So let us consider if Vi equal to ionization potential and T is temperature at which ionization takes place. This is ionization temperature, or the temperature at which ionization takes place. In this condition, the ionization energy will be just equal to kT. So what will be the ionization? If Vi is the ionization potential, then ionization energy will be equal to E times Vi, where E is electronic charge actually, and we will equate this ionization energy to kT. So then what we will have? We will have E times Vi equal to kT. and from here you can calculate the temperature T, which is the ionization temperature, and this will be EVI over K. Again, we take the example of sodium atom, and for sodium atom, the ionization potential Vi is equal to 5.2 volt. Or if you say ionization energy, then that will be 5.2 electron volt. And so what will be the temperature at which ionization takes place in general? So put the values in equation 2. This will be simply 1.6 10 to the power minus 19 times 5.2 over 1.38 into 10 to the power minus 23. And if you will simplify it, you will found that this is almost equal to 65,000 Kelvin. So you can see that ionization takes place at the temperature of the order of 60,000 Kelvin. 65,000 Kelvin, so order is 60,000 Kelvin. So you can see that the excitation and ionization takes place at very high temperature. Excitation, as I have calculated, takes place at the temperature of the order of 25,000 Kelvin, and excitation and ionization takes place at the temperature of the order of 60,000 Kelvin. These two temperatures are actually very high temperatures, and they cannot easily achieved in laboratory. But our celestial systems like stars, our sun, is an ideal system because the surface temperature of stars, surface temperature of stars is of this order, is the order of 10 to the power 5 Kelvin. And so such a process will be definitely take place in stars. Taking this into account, Professor M.N. Saha explained the stellar spectra, and actually the work of Professor M.N. Saha just aims to explain the stellar spectra. And when we will study in second lecture the proper theory of thermal ionization proposed by Professor M.N. Saha, then after studying his theory, we will when discuss its applications, then we will see how Professor Saha's theory is able to explain the stellar spectra. So this was some introductory fact. The summary is that the spectra determines the nature of the constituent of a material. So solids and liquids spectra are in general continuous. Gaseous spectra is in fact a band spectra if it is a molecular gas. It is a line spectra if it is an atomic gas. And when gases gets excited and ionized, then the spectrum differs. And in ionized state, what should be the nature of the spectra, that was explained by Professor M.N. Saha in his famous theory of Saha's theory of thermal ionization. And I will discuss this theory in next lecture.